One bedtime habit that turns sexual energy into money. The ancient secret, with a sense of mystery and anticipation. What if everything you've been told about wealth creation is a lie? What if the real source of power, the same force that sparks life, is being drained away from you every single night without you even knowing it? We're talking about an ancient hidden currency, a secret power source that Nikola Tesla himself understood, a power that built entire civilizations. And you're deliberately kept in the dark, working harder than ever, while this internal factory inside you silently empties, leaving you drained, invisible to opportunity. But what if the difference between waking up broke and waking up magnetic, pulling money and success towards you like a magnet, is as simple as one thing? Just one thing you do in the final hour before you sleep. This isn't about meditating or journaling or some flimsy advice you've seen a million times. Forget that. This is about a tiny gland in your brain, a secret nighttime window that opens between 1 and 3 a.m., and a single 15-minute habit that holds the key. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will fundamentally change how you approach every single night for the rest of your life. So, do you want to unlock that hidden power? Do you want to know exactly what to do tonight? Make sure you stick around until the very end, because the biggest reveal is coming, and it could be the missing piece you've been searching for your entire life. Nikola Tesla, the man who gave us alternating current, radio, remote control, the genius whose mind literally built the 20th century. He had a secret habit, something most people overlook. Every night, before sleep, he wouldn't just rest, he would build. Not with blueprints, but in his mind. In his own autobiography, he described seeing his inventions with such clarity that he could mentally assemble a motor, let it run for a week, then take it apart, checking every component for wear, and it matched reality. He said his greatest breakthroughs didn't happen at his desk. They happened in that magical space between waking and sleep, when the body started to drift. But the mind was still ablaze. He called them lightning flashes, entire inventions appearing, complete and perfect, in a single moment. Now here's a detail most people miss. Tesla never married. He poured all his energy into his work. That was his choice. And I'm not saying you need to do that. This video isn't about celibacy or being alone or some extreme regimen. Forget all that. The point is something else entirely. Tesla understood something profound that still eludes most of us. Sexual energy and creative power are the same currency. The very energy that creates new life can create ideas, inventions, empires, immense wealth. The question isn't whether you spend it, it's where you direct it. Tesla directed his into creation. His deep connection with Swami Vivekananda, the legendary Indian mystic, only deepened this understanding. Vedic philosophy echoes this. Consciously directed sexual energy transforms into ojas, a radiant, creative power. It's not about denial, it's about mastery. You can have a partner, you can have a vibrant sex life. The ancient Taoists, whom we'll discuss, did exactly that. But they possessed a crucial difference. They were intensely conscious about how and when they harnessed this energy, especially in that final hour before sleep. Think about it. A man who worked over 80 hours a week, held over 300 patents, claimed to sleep just 2 to 3 hours a night, and was still sharper, faster, and more productive than anyone around him. He wasn't on drugs. He wasn't superhuman. He simply knew what to do with the very energy that others were draining away every single night without even noticing. But when, precisely, does this raw fuel transform into tangible power? At what exact moment does the body perform this incredible transmutation? This is where it gets truly fascinating. Deep in the center of your brain lies a tiny gland, the size of a grain of rice, the pineal gland. Even René Descartes, one of history's greatest philosophers, called it the principal seat of the soul, the single intersection of the physical body and the spirit. And modern science has confirmed something remarkable. This gland produces melatonin, our sleep hormone, but it only produces it in absolute darkness. The instant light touches your eyes, even the faint blue glow of your phone, melatonin production plummets. The factory shuts down. And here's the connection that will blow your mind. The pineal gland doesn't just make melatonin. Some research suggests it also produces trace amounts of DMT, dimethyltryptamine. This is the compound linked to profound states of consciousness, vivid dreams, and what scientists cautiously call non-ordinary states of awareness. And critically, the pineal gland has a direct hormonal link to your reproductive system. Melatonin actually regulates gonadotropins, the hormones that control your sexual development. In children, high melatonin levels actively suppress sexual maturation. This tiny gland is the literal bridge between your primal sexual energy and your highest brain functions. Tesla, of course, didn't know about melatonin or gonadotropins, but he intuitively tapped into this pathway through conscious energy management, nightly visualization, and that liminal state between sleep and waking that neuroscience now calls the hypnagogic window. He used this pathway every single night, and every morning he woke up with world-changing inventions. And guess who mapped out this exact same pathway 2,000 years before Tesla? The Taoist masters of ancient China. They called sexual energy Jing, essence, life force. They described a precise bodily rhythm, a weekly manufacturing schedule. Days 1 through 3, the body gathers raw materials, accumulating nutrients, hormones, minerals, building its inventory. Days 4 through 6, the body refines. It converts raw materials into concentrated essence. This is when you start to feel a shift, more clarity, more focus, more presence. Day 7, the furnace ignites. The body takes everything it's gathered and sends it upward through the spinal column towards the brain. But here's the part nobody talks about. This critical firing happens at night, during sleep, roughly between 1 and 3 a.m. This is what Chinese medicine calls the hour of the liver, the time when the body performs its deepest internal work. Your body doesn't just produce this energy randomly. It's on a schedule, and it activates it while you sleep. This isn't magic. This is biology wearing ancient clothes. The Taoists didn't have electron microscopes or hormonal assays, but they mapped this exact pathway from the reproductive organs, up the spine, through the mud pill palace, their term for the pineal gland, and into the crown of the head, 2,000 years ago. They called it the microcosmic orbit. And they laid down one inviolable rule. What you do in the last hour before sleep determines whether the factory produces gold or garbage. Before I reveal the habit that seals this process, I need to show you the 5 ways most people unconsciously destroy it every single night. Because this habit won't work if you're still bleeding energy. Imagine your body as a bathtub. Every night, it fills this tub with warm, concentrated, creative energy, sexual energy that's been refined all day. By midnight, the tub is full. By 1 a.m., the body's ready to send that energy upwards. But most people have 5 massive holes in their bathtub. The precious energy drains out before it can ever reach its destination. Leak number 1, screens after 10 p.m. This isn't about willpower, it's about chemistry. The blue light from your phone, your laptop, your TV directly signals your brain's master clock. That clock tells your pineal gland, hey, it's still daytime, don't make melatonin yet. The result? The factory that should be running at full capacity by 1 a.m. doesn't even start until 2 or 3 a.m. By the time your body attempts to channel the energy upward, you're already in light sleep. The window has slammed shut. Ancient Egyptian priests understood this intuitively. Their only light after sunset was warm, amber oil lamps, light that doesn't disrupt the body like harsh white light. They didn't know about blue light wavelengths, but they knew one thing. The quality of the darkness dictates the quality of the transformation. Leak number 2, eating within 3 hours of sleep. When you eat late, your body diverts blood and precious energy to your digestive system. Your liver, which the Taoists considered the storehouse of Jing, spends the night processing food instead of refining energy. This is precisely why 1 to 3 a.m. is the critical hour of the pod, liver in Chinese medicine. If your liver is busy digesting that late-night pizza, it can't perform its alchemical work. The raw material sits there, unrefined, wasted. The Taoists had a saying, those who eat after sunset feed the body. Those who fast after sunset feed the spirit. They weren't being poetic, they were being profoundly precise. Leak number 3, emotional chaos before bed. Arguments, mindless scrolling through social media that triggers anger or jealousy, news that fills you with fear, worrying about money, relationships, tomorrow. Every single one of these emotional states floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol is the direct antagonist of your sexual creative energy system. High cortisol means low testosterone. High cortisol suppresses melatonin. High cortisol puts your body into survival mode. And survival mode doesn't build wealth, it burns through your reserves. The ancient Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day describes the soul's nightly journey through guarded gates. To pass, the soul must be clean, free of heaviness. This isn't a metaphor. This is what cortisol does to your pineal gland. Fear, anger, resentment, they physically, chemically lock those gates. Leak number 4, sexual release without intention. This is crucial, and it's where most content on this topic gets it fundamentally wrong. The problem isn't sex. The problem isn't orgasm. The problem is unconscious release. Mindless scrolling that leads to arousal, that leads to release, that leads to sleep. No intention, no direction, no purpose. The Taoist masters practiced what they called Fang Jiang Shu, the arts of the bedchamber. They had sex lives, they had partners, they experienced pleasure, but they were conscious about when and how they released energy. The difference between an alchemist and an ordinary person isn't abstinence, it's intention. When you release energy unconsciously right before sleep, you drain the bathtub just as the factory was about to harness it. All the raw material, refined and prepared for its nightly ascent, is gone, wasted. And your body has to start the entire 7-day cycle all over again. Leak number 5, sleeping in light. This one is so simple, most people dismiss it. But it might be the most important. Your pineal gland needs complete darkness to operate at full capacity. Not dim light, not pretty dark. Complete, total, absolute darkness. Any light, the LED on your charger, the glow of a street lamp through thin curtains, the standby light on your TV, sends a signal that completely disrupts melatonin production. Harvard Medical School research shows that even dim light during sleep reduces melatonin output by over 50%. Half your nightly activation gone because of a tiny green LED across the room. The ancient Egyptians didn't have LEDs, but their temple sleeping chambers were built underground. No windows, no light sources, absolute darkness. And the priests who slept there reported visions, downloads of information, creative solutions, what they described as communication with the gods. They weren't talking to gods, and they were experiencing what happens when the pineal gland operates at 100% capacity, in total darkness, without interference. Now, take a moment. Be honest. How many of these 5 leaks do you have tonight? If you have even 2, you're losing more creative energy every single night than most people produce in a week. You understand the factory. You understand the leaks. Now, here's the habit. The ancient Taoists called it sealing the 5 gates before sleep. The Egyptians called it the rite of the evening ka. In both traditions, the core practice is identical, and it takes less than 15 minutes. It has 3 simple parts. Part 1, the seal. 5 minutes. 60 minutes before you intend to sleep, you close the inputs. Screens off, not dimmed off. Every device goes face down or into another room. This is non-negotiable. If you think you can do this practice while checking just one more message, you cannot. This practice requires darkness to approach you gradually, like a tide coming in. Screens are walls against that tide. Then, sit on the edge of your bed or in a chair, spine upright, but not rigid. And you do one thing. Place both hands on your lower abdomen, about 2 inches below the navel. The Taoists called this the dantian, the elixir field. In Egyptian tradition, the lower abdomen was also considered the seat of life force. Different cultures, different centuries, but all pointing to the same spot. This is where your sexual energy is stored in its raw form. You breathe slowly in through the nose, filling your belly so your hands rise out, and exhale through the nose, letting your belly fall. 5 minutes. That's it. But here's what makes this different from just breathing deeply before bed. On each inhale, feel the warmth in your lower abdomen. You're not imagining it. You're not visualizing lights or colors. You are simply paying attention to what is already there, and something is there. You'll feel warmth, or a pulse, or a tingling, or a heaviness. It's subtle at first, but it's there. This is Jing. This is the raw material. On each exhale, you don't push it anywhere. You don't try to send it up your spine. You simply seal it. You hold your attention there. You say to your well, body, silently, without words. I see you. I know what you're building, and tonight I'm going to let you finish. That's part 1. 5 minutes, hands on belly, breathe, feel, seal. Part 2, the instruction, 3 minutes. This is the part that separates ancient alchemy from modern breathwork. After you've sealed the energy, you give it a direction. The Taoists wrote that Jing without intention is like water without a riverbed. It spreads everywhere and goes nowhere. The Egyptians said that Ka, vital energy, must be given a name before it can travel. Here's what you do. You ask yourself one question. What is the one thing I want to create? Not a list. Not 5 goals. Not I want to be rich, healthy, and find my soulmate. Just one thing. The most important thing. The thing that, if it manifested, would change everything else. And you don't visualize it. This is important. Do not close your eyes and imagine a car, a house, or a pile of money. That's not what this practice does. Instead, you feel what it would feel like to already have it in your body. What does your chest feel like? What does your posture feel like? What does your face feel like? The muscles around your eyes, your jaw, your lips. You are not imagining a future, you are rehearsing a state of being. And you hold that state for 3 minutes while your hands are still on your lower abdomen, while the warmth is still there. What you're doing, in scientific terms, is linking an emotional and somatic state to the precise moment just before sleep. You are programming your subconscious mind with a specific instruction at the exact time your pineal gland is beginning to ramp up melatonin production. Neuroscience calls this the hypnagogic window, that transition zone between wakefulness and sleep. During this window, your brainwaves shift from beta, active thinking, to alpha, relaxed awareness, to theta, deep subconscious access. Your brain becomes extraordinarily suggestible. Whatever emotional state you carry into that window gets encoded into your subconscious as a program that runs all night. Most people carry anxiety, worry, or the last thing they saw on their phone into this window. Then they wonder why they wake up tired and their life doesn't change. You, however, will carry the feeling of what you want to create, the warmth in your dantian, the instruction, 3 minutes, feel it, hold it, let it sink in. Part 3, the darkness, 7 minutes or until you fall asleep. Now you lie down in complete darkness and you do something counterintuitive. You stop trying. You don't continue visualizing. You don't keep breathing in any special pattern. You don't try to send energy up your spine. You let go completely. Why? Because the factory doesn't need your conscious mind to run. In fact, your conscious mind gets in the way. The Taoists called this Wu Wei, effortless action, the practice of doing by not doing. You've sealed the energy. You've given it direction. Now you hand it over to the part of you that knows how to build. As you drift off, your pineal gland takes over. Melatonin floods your system. Your brain drops into delta waves, the deepest, most regenerative state. And in that state, the energy you sealed in your dantian begins to move. It travels up through what the Taoists called the dumai, the governing vessel along the spine. It passes through the kidneys, willpower, the heart, intention, the throat, expression, and reaches the niwan, the mud pill palace, the pineal gland. And there, in complete darkness, complete silence, complete surrender, the raw sexual energy is transmuted, refined, converted into what the Taoists called Shen, spirit energy, creative power, the kind of energy that makes people look at you and feel something they can't quite explain. The Egyptians had an almost identical map. They called this pathway the Jed pillar, the backbone of Osiris. They believed that at night, the vital Ka traveled upward through the Jed to meet the Ba, the soul in the third eye. And when Ka and Ba united during sleep, the person woke up with Heka, magical power, the ability to speak things into existence, to attract what they needed, to bend reality. Tesla understood this too. He practiced what he called mental inventions, holding a complete image of his devices in his mind as he fell asleep, then allowing his subconscious to work on them all night. In his autobiography, he wrote that he could mentally start a motor, let it run for a week, take it apart, and find traces of wear that matched reality. His breakthroughs came in that exact window this practice targets, between sleep and waking. The habit is simple. 15 minutes, 3 parts. Seal, instruct, surrender. But the results compound, and this is the part that almost nobody talks about. Now I want to show you why exactly 7 days. The Taoists knew, Tesla felt it, but in 2003, science measured it. Researchers at Zhang University took 28 men and measured their testosterone levels daily during a period of abstinence. For the first 6 days, almost nothing changed. Flat, flat, flat. And then came day 7. Testosterone spiked to 145.7% of baseline, nearly 1.5 times normal levels in a single day. And after that, it dropped back down and never rose again. Even when the men continued to abstain for weeks, the peak happened once, on day 7, and disappeared. Every single person talking about semen retention online grabbed this study and shouted, "Don't ejaculate for 7 days." But they missed the most critical part. They didn't ask, why day 7? Why not day 3? Why not day 10? Because the body works in cycles. The Taoists knew this. The 7-day Jing cycle isn't a metaphor. It's the manufacturing rhythm of your body. And that spike on day 7 is the moment the furnace ignites and sends everything it accumulated upward. But the spike happens only once, because without practice, the energy doesn't know where to go. It rises, finds no channel, and dissipates. That's why the researchers only saw a 1-day peak. Now imagine the energy has a channel. Imagine that every night you sealed, instructed, and surrendered. Imagine the pineal gland operating in complete darkness. Imagine the subconscious mind receiving the same instructions 7 times. Here's what happens when you practice this habit every night for 7 consecutive days. Nights 1 and 2. Your body notices something has changed. The bathtub isn't leaking anymore. Energy that was being drained every night through screens, late eating, unconscious release, stress, and light pollution, that energy starts to accumulate. You might feel restless. You might have vivid dreams. This is normal. The factory is testing the new conditions. Nights 3 and 4. The accumulation becomes noticeable. You wake up differently, not just rested, but charged. There's a warmth in your body that wasn't there before. Your eyes are clearer. Your voice is deeper. People start reacting to you differently, and they don't know why. You don't know why. It's the Jing. It's building. Nights 5 and 6. This is where most people quit. Because the energy builds to a point where it becomes uncomfortable. You'll feel restless, agitated, intensely aroused. Your body is screaming at you to release, because that's what it's been trained to do for years. Every night, drain the tub. Every night, start over. But if you hold on, if you keep doing the 3-part practice, seal, instruct, and surrender for 6 nights, night 7, the furnace ignites. That 145.7% testosterone spike the researchers measured, this is what it is. The body has accumulated 7 nights of refined energy. The pineal gland has had 7 nights of uninterrupted operation in complete darkness. The subconscious mind has received the same instructions 7 times in the hypnagogic window. And on night 7, the system reaches critical mass. You may have the most vivid dream of your life. You may wake up at 3 a.m. with an idea so clear and so complete that you have to write it down immediately. You may feel a physical sensation, a tingling or buzzing that moves from the base of your spine to the top of your head, or you may feel nothing unusual at all. But notice that over the next 48 hours, opportunities start appearing. A phone call, an email, a conversation with a stranger, a thought that leads to an action that leads to money. This is not magic. This is what happens when you stop hemorrhaging your creative energy every night and start compounding it. The Taoists had a word for a person who completed this cycle, a nadan, an internal alchemist, someone who had learned to turn lead into gold inside their own body. And the beautiful thing? You don't stop at 7 days. You can run 7-day cycles back to back. Each cycle, the baseline rises. The factory gets more efficient. The channels get clearer. The energy moves faster and with more khalid. Precision. After 4 cycles, 28 days, you will not recognize yourself. Not because you've become someone new, but because you've stopped wasting what you always had. Now, something needs to be said here that almost nobody in this space talks about. Everything we've discussed so far has been filtered through a masculine lens. Testosterone spikes, semen retention, Jing preservation, that's important, but it's only half the picture. If you are a woman watching this, your alchemy is not a smaller version of what was just described. It is an entirely different element. In the Taoist tradition, male sexual energy is fire. It needs to be contained and directed upward. Female sexual energy is water. It needs to be deepened and circulated. The female 7-day cycle is different. It doesn't spike the same way. Instead, it builds in waves connected not to testosterone, but to the lunar cycle and the hormonal rhythms of estrogen, progesterone, and oxytocin. But the bedtime practice works the same way for women. Here's why. The 5 leaks are identical. Screens destroy pineal function in women exactly as they do in men. Late eating disrupts the liver's work equally. Emotional chaos floods cortisol in the same way. And sleeping in light cuts melatonin production by the same 50%. The 3-part practice is identical too. Seal, instruct, surrender. Hands on the lower abdomen, the warmth, the instruction, the darkness. But here is where it gets different. And this is the part that makes every woman who hears it rethink everything. The Taoists taught that the female Dantian doesn't just store energy, it generates it continuously, like a spring that never runs dry if it's not being drained. And the biggest drain for most women isn't sexual release. It's emotional giving without return. The relationship where she gives and gives until she's an empty shell. The friendships where she absorbs everyone else's problems. The habit of saying yes when her entire body is screaming no. The guilt of resting. The shame of wanting something for herself. Every one of these is a leak in the bathtub. And for many women, these leaks drain more energy than anything sexual ever could. So for a woman, the sealing part of the practice isn't just about closing the inputs of screens and food and light. It's about sealing the emotional exits, setting a boundary, even if only internally, even if only for the night, that says, for the next 8 hours, my energy belongs to me. The ancient priestesses of Isis in Egypt practiced a version of this every night. In the Egyptian tradition, a person was made of several parts: Ba, the soul; Ka, vital energy; Sem, power. Before sleep, the task was one: gather all parts into a whole. Don't wait for someone else to put you together. Don't give pieces of yourself away until morning. Simply say to yourself, I am whole. Not I am whole because someone loves me. Not I am whole because I helped everyone today. Just I am whole. Try saying that tonight in the dark with your hands on your belly and feel what happens in your body when you allow yourself to believe it. Let me tell you what happens after 90 days of this practice, because I want you to understand what you're building toward. After 90 days, roughly 13 7-day cycles, 3 things will have changed. First, your sleep will become something you look forward to, not something you collapse into. You will begin to experience sleep as a creative act, a time when your body and mind do their most important work. You will wake up with ideas, solutions, clarity that you did not have when you closed your eyes. Second, your presence will change. People will notice. They will feel something when they are near you that they cannot name. It's not confidence, though you will feel more confident. It's not attractiveness, though you will appear more attractive. It's coherence. Every part of your system will be running in the same direction for the first time, and other people's nervous systems can feel coherence. They are drawn to it the way cold is drawn to warmth. Third, money will move toward you, not because you wished for it, not because you chanted an affirmation, but because you will have the energy, the clarity, and the creative power to see opportunities that were always there and to act on them without hesitation. Wealth is not attracted by desire. It is attracted by capacity, and capacity is built every night, in the dark, in silence, 15 minutes at a time. This is what the Egyptian priests knew. This is what the Taoist masters practiced. This is what Tesla did alone in his room, building inventions in his mind before sleep, letting his subconscious work through the night. And this is what you are going to do tonight. Here is your assignment tonight. Not tomorrow, not when I'm ready, tonight. 1. Choose a time to start, 1 hour before your intended sleep time. 2. Put your phone in another room, not on silent, in another room. 3. Make your bedroom dark. Cover every LED, close every curtain. If you can see your hand in front of your face, it's not dark enough. 4. Sit on the edge of your bed, hands on your lower belly. Breathe for 5 minutes. Feel the warmth. 5. Ask, what is the one thing I want to create? Feel it in your body for 3 minutes. 6. Lie down, let go, sleep. That's it. One night, 15 minutes. And here's what I ask. Write in the comments right now, how many of the 5 leaks did you find in yourself? And which one will you close first? Tonight? Not tomorrow, not someday. Tonight. And after 7 nights, come back and tell us what changed, what you felt, what came to you, what dream you had, what idea appeared, what person called. These comments are read, every single one. And I want this comment section to become a place where, a month from now, people come not just to read, but to see proof that this works. Start tonight, right now. The portal doesn't open on a date in the sky. The portal opens every night, inside you, in the dark. You just never knew how to walk through it. See you on the other side. Fades in, mysterious and hopeful.